What is 2 to the exponent 3? This means 2 times 2 times 2, multiplication repeated 3 times. 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. As for negative 5 cubed, we repeat multiplication with a negative number 3 times. 3 negatives is an odd number of negatives, which ends up being negative. 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 times 5 is 125. So the answer is negative 125. Now be careful. For this question here, we have negative 1 times 3 squared. We always do exponents before multiplying by negative 1. So we have a negative number, and 3 squared is 9. So the overall result is negative 9. Do not confuse this question with negative 3 squared, which means negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9, not negative 9. What is negative 1 to the exponent 100? This exponent is even. Whenever we have an even number of negative numbers, we end up positive. So the overall result is positive. 1 to the exponent 100 is 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 repeated 100 times. So 1 to the anything is just 1. The answer is 1. As for this base here, the base is negative. So we have negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, an odd number of times. When we have an even number of negative 1s being multiplied, every pair ends up being positive. However, there is one last odd number out. A positive number times that last negative 1 ends up negative. So a negative number to an odd exponent becomes negative, and 1 to the anything is just 1. Here we have a negative number, negative 1, times 1 to the 666. We always do exponents first, and we know that we multiply by a negative number, so the result is negative something. 1 to the anything is just 1, so negative 1 is the result. Do not confuse this with negative 1 to an even number. In this case, the answer would be positive 1. What is negative 2 bracket negative 2 squared? According to BEDMAS, we should do exponents first. BEDMAS. Exponents comes before division and multiplication. So here, this expression is negative 2 times negative 2 squared, in which we should do this part first, the exponents. We have negative 2 times negative 2 to the exponent 2 is positive 4. A negative number times a positive number is negative, and 2 times 4 is 8. Now there's two parts to this second question. It's definitely negative because there's no bracket around here. Negative what? Negative 4. And for this part here, we do the exponents first. Negative number squared is definitely positive. And a negative and a positive ends up negative. Negative what? 2 squared is 4. Minus 4 minus 4 becomes even more negative, negative 8. What is 0 to the exponent 1? 0 to the anything is 0. For example, 0 cubed means 0 times 0 times 0, which is 0. 0 squared is 0 times 0, which is also 0. And 0 to the 1 is 0. What is 1 to the exponent 0? Anything to the exponent 0 is 1. For example, 1 cubed is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. 1 squared is 1 times 1, which is 1. And 1 to the 1 is just 1. Notice the pattern that for each of these answers, we're just dividing by 1. So 1 to the 0 is also 1, because 1 divided by 1 is just 1. This idea is a bit strange, so let's try it one more time. Exponent 0. What is 2 cubed? 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. Notice how we're dividing by 2 each time. 2 to the 1 is just 2. Now what is 2 to the 0? We divide by 2 and the answer is 1. So in general, anything to the 0 is 1, including 5 to the 0, it's 1. 1.5 to the 0 is 1, and the square root of 2 to the exponent 0 is also 1. Now we just said it. Anything to the 0 is 1, including pi, irrational numbers. Now finally we have 0 to the exponent 0, and unfortunately the answer is undefined. We have two opposing forces. Anything to the 0 is 1. We're tempted to say that the answer is 1. However, the base is 0. 0 to the anything is 0. So is the answer 1 or is the answer 0? We can't make up our mind. So we say the answer is undefined.